Welcome to Island Treasures mini podcast for caregivers. I am your host and certified caregiver consultant, Alison of Alongside Caregiver Consulting. This episode is brought to you by our sponsor, Cabin Teely Contractors in the Comox Valley on beautiful Vancouver Island in British Columbia, Canada, where we care too. Stepping into caregiving takes courage. For my podcast guest, Jennifer Richey, there was a moment where she stepped into the world of caregiving. Initially, by moving in with her grandfather to provide companionship. When his needs intensified, so did her caregiving. Then Jennifer's dad, who'd been affected by Agent Orange and was a kidney transplant recipient, took very ill and was diagnosed with a fungus in his lungs called mucor, and he was unable to recover. This was an intense period requiring very brave caregiving. Meanwhile, plans had been made to have Jennifer's mom move into their home, and the house had to be retrofitted to meet mom's caregiving needs. That's already a busy, brave, and devoted caregiver. But then Jennifer and her wife were chosen to be the kinship foster parents of a newborn baby. This came as a shock. Jennifer describes that they were Plan C for the kinship placement, but they were quickly fostering who is now their legal son. That too took courage. Through her 10-year caregiving journey, Jennifer never seemed to hesitate to step up and embrace the challenges of caregiving. Being a brave caregiver means we need to be courageous so we can go forward as well as live bravely through the challenges in the present. Jennifer is now a coach as well as a certified caregiver consultant. You'll get a sense of how passionate Jennifer is as a brave caregiver as she explains her services for other caregivers in this clip.
But I love coaching caregivers, and I love coaching caregivers in the middle of the hardest parts, because that's when I feel like they need us the most.
Yeah, the entrenched
stage. Yes. Yeah. That really is the hardest stage, I think.
Yeah, where they feel like they're sinking and there's just no hope, and we can be that lifeline. We can be that life ring.
And it's also the stage where I think they don't have time for help. Like it's the least likely stage to seek help, but it's when you need it the most. And
which is why we like to do family emergency planning sessions, right, Jen?
Yes, we do.
Because the best time to plan is when you're not in a crisis and when you're not in the entrenched stage of caregiving. So just so you can get some plans in place for the what ifs.
And I know you are passionate about that as well. And I love the family emergency plans. I think it's a brilliant idea for any family, not just a caregiving situation,
Yeah. Here's how you can contact Jennifer. How can folks reach you?
You can follow me on Instagram at my Instagram handle is at Brave Caregiving. Same location on Facebook. My website is bravecaregiving.com. And you can also email me at jennifer@bravecaregiving.com.
In summary, a brave caregiver is someone who says yes. They step up and they step into a situation, ready to care. I recognize how precious your time is, especially as caregivers. And so this mini podcast is designed just for you. And when you're able to listen to the full episode called The Brave Caregiver, feel free to leave a rating and a review. If you're in the midst of your own caregiving journey and need some supports, I invite you to tap into alongsidecaregiverconsulting.ca or bravecaregiving.com. Thanks again for listening to this mini version or watching the video version of the podcast. And thank you to Jennifer Richey for sharing your wisdom and insights. Take care.